You guys right in the middle.
I still like that scene from Tombstone.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Spelling contest.
Call to order our work session for today and we notice our Mr. Johnson and Ms. Marta is on the phone, I think. Councilwoman Marta?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Excellent. Good to have you with us.
Thank you.
On Thursday, we'll have our roll call invocation by Pastor Becky Priest and pledge of allegiance. Hopefully you won't get called away again.
Be here.
All right. And then we'll have our city manager report, sir.
Thank you, Mayor McCaw, members of the council. Just a few items, and I'm sure I'll have some more for Thursday. The municipal court assessment, we think will be done by September, so you'll have some information with regards to the court. A reminder that the magistrate contract is up by the end of the year, and we'll be working, on that as well. And certainly we'll have sessions with you prior to that. The spaceport reentry project is with Launch on Demand is currently ongoing, and we're looking at the October 8th work session for an update to council with regards to how that project is going. And then the, Roadrunner Park design, we just working on the final concept for that, so we'll have an idea what that might cost going forward as well. So I'm sure I'll have some more on Thursday, though.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments for the city manager? So we'll proceed on. In our public hearing, item number 3, the resolution of 2024-057, the staff report, Mr. Pregler.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. So Formula 420, doing business as Trulieve of Sierra Vista, is proposing a code amendment to extend the hours of operation for marijuana establishments from the current 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. to the proposed 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Now, as you recall, Proposition 207, also known as Arizona Smart and Safe Act, was approved by the voters in November 2020. This act allowed for adult use marijuana establishments, aka dispensaries, within the state. Although these dispensaries are licensed by the Arizona Department of Health Services, the local jurisdictions have limited discretion on regulating these facilities. As a result, the mayor and city council approved an ordinance on February 11, 2021, allowing marijuana establishments subject to specific development and operational requirements. One such operational requirement was regulating hours of operation. The current hours of operation, as I stated, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., was originally applied to medical marijuana dispensaries with the ordinance adoption in 2011. When the marijuana establishment ordinance was approved, these same hours were applied. The purpose was to minimize any negative impacts associated with the dispensary. So staff analyzed a number of factors when considering the proposed text amendments. Let me put this up here. First, staff compared the proposed hours of operation with other communities throughout the state. In a comparison of 17 communities, 10 communities either have the same hours of operation or expanded hours as the proposed amendment. One community has no restrictions on hours of operation. 2 communities require hours to be determined by a special use permit or conditional use permit. And 4 have more restricted hours of operation than what is being proposed. In addition, when reviewing the Arizona Administrative Code, one of the conditions of marijuana establishments is that they shall operate at least 30 hours a week between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. Now, although the Arizona Administrative Code does not require marijuana establishments to be open from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., it does allow the flexibility of local jurisdictions to extend the hours of operation to those times. Secondly, staff reviewed the criminal activity related to the marijuana establishment. Since 2022, which was the year that Trulieve opened, there has not been a significant amount of criminal activity associated with the business. And I believe I provided you with a police incident report as one of your attachments. In fact, in discussions with the chief of police, he stated that he had no concerns about the expended hours of operation based on the data available. And finally, staff considered sales tax associated with the marijuana establishments. There will be a 40% increase in hours of operation, which means there will likely be an increase in sales tax revenues. So, with any code amendment, the burden of proof is on the proponent. The applicant's application for text amendment does provide their reasoning and justification of the required text amendment. The applicant will be presenting their reasoning in a presentation following staff's report on Thursday. However, generally speaking, the applicant states that the amendment will provide more flexible hours for customers, be consistent with other jurisdictions, increase sales tax revenue, have no adverse impacts on public safety, and would create less congestion and parking. So in reviewing the proponent's application and justification, as well as staff's own analysis, staff does recommend approval of the expanded hours of operation, citing that the applicant has provided sufficient need and justification for the change, has demonstrated a relationship between the proposed amendment and the general plan, and is consistent with the purposes of the Development Code to promote the growth of the city in an orderly and sustainable manner, and to promote the public health, safety, peace, comfort, and general public welfare. Further, the proposed amendment would apply to all marijuana establishments in town licensed by the state, and it would not be considered a special privilege to a specific owner. The Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval of the text amendments at their July 23rd meeting. Staff has not received any public comments to date on the proposed amendments. However, approval of the resolution on Thursday would declare a 30-day public comment period. This does conclude staff's report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments?
Just
Yes,
comment.
sir.
I appreciate the staff's work on this. Just shows that it's not too off base from everywhere in the state. Some open at 7 in the morning, always most them close at 10, so it's not too crazy off base. Hats off to Truly for doing their research as well, for their thing that they're going to present to us, according to Arizona state law. So, and thank you for going to further step and asking questions people may ask about public safety and things like that. So that's covered as well. So I appreciate you doing all that work, everybody involved for that. I think all the bases are covered.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. We will proceed on to item number 2. Item number 2, ordinance 2024-005 fiscal year property tax levy. Staff report, Ms. Jen. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Mayor and members of council, in accordance with state statute, the city's public hearing on the property tax levy was held on July 25th. The FY25 rate is proposed at .1033 per $100 of assessed value, which will generate an estimated $387,167 this fiscal year. Since there is an increase in valuation of taxable property, the rate was adjusted slightly lower in FY25, so the amount that homeowners will pay in FY25 will remain the same as FY24. The overall increase in revenue is due to new construction, and for this proposed new rate, the city is not required to publish truth and taxation notices for the property tax levy.
Thank you. Questions?
No, I just want to point out for the people viewing and people the taxes didn't increase. The reason for the overall revenue increase is new construction, not the percentage of taxes that they're paying. That makes sense?
Makes sense. Any other questions? Any other comments? No? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Our next item number 5, ordinance 2024-006, amendments to the tax code of the City of Sierra Vista. Staff report, Mr. Phillips. Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, Mayor, members of council. The state establishes the Model City Tax Code. We are required by statute to follow it and abide by it. For some administrative reason, even though the state may make changes to the code, we are also required to adopt those code changes as well into our ordinances. Doesn't make much sense to me, but it is a requirement of the state law that we adopt the changes. These proposed changes go back a few years. They're being sent out to quite a few cities, and they're just kind of changes that have taken place in the law over time. Definition changes, some like when they changed the food for home consumption actually out of an option for retail sales to a separate category. Those are finally being incorporated. This time frame does coincide to when the maintenance of the Model City Tax Code moved from the League of Arizona Cities to the Department of Revenue. Since about this 2012 or so, the Department of Revenue is actually in charge of the Model City Tax Code and now maintains it. It's on their website for anyone to look at. We get to choose options on it, but the overall code is very specific on what they can do, and we have to only choose options that they give us. So these just incorporate the changes that have been taken place, and we're just required to accept them and pass them and include them in our code. You have to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments from Mr. Felix? Thank you, sir. Proceed on to item number 6, Resolution 2024-058, City to accept grant offer from the Arizona State Parks Non-Motorizing Grant Program. Staff report, Mr. Kirkpatrick. Good evening, sir.
Good afternoon, mayors and council. Mr. Mayor and council, sorry. On May 1st, 2023, public staff submitted an application through the Arizona State Parks Heritage Fund Non-Motorized Grant Program. These funds were applied for in order to construct an ADA accessible public restroom at Garden Canyon Linear Park off St. Andrews Drive. This project will be considered phase 3 of the build-out effort at this location, utilizing state park funds. This application requested funding to construct an ADA accessible restroom near the newly constructed trail and parking lot completed in phase 1 and 2. The awarded grant amount is $120,000 with a city match of $30,000, totaling a $150,000 total project budget. This approved resolution, along with a formal grant agreement, would act to accept the grant funds and terms. I'm open to any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments?
I'll make a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think that's really great news. Having a bathroom is such a great thing, especially if you're away from home. There's been times when I was out for a run and I was like, what am I going to do? And thankfully, there was a bathroom in the park off of Avenue of the Cochise. I was super thankful for that. So it's great that we're going to have a bathroom there and that it's ADA accessible. So that's great news.
Thank you. Other questions, comments? Hearing none? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And that will be it for our meeting on Thursday. Call to the public and comments for questions from the council. And tonight, item number A, we'll go to item number B, is the Pueblo del Sol Golf Course update. And Ms. Kenny, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. I wanted to bring you good news today. City staff has been spending the last few weeks negotiating a contract with Paradigm for management of the Pueblo del Sol Golf Course. And I'm happy to say that we believe we have a contract that's agreeable to everyone today. And I wanted to present to you the highlights of the contract as well as tell the members of the Pueblo del Sol Golf Course and the public what's in the contract. So first of all, Paradigm is establishing an LLC to specifically isolate their fees for Sierra Vista. So this contract is between Paradigm Sierra Vista LLC and the City of Sierra Vista. The golf course has been renamed the Sierra Vista Golf Center at Pueblo del Sol so that we can bring the old and still keep the new name so that we can bring everyone together. This contract is a piggyback off of a cooperative contract that was bid by City of Mesa 5 years ago. In 2019, City of Mesa had a bid for maintenance management of their Dobson Ranch Golf Course, which was about $600,000 in the deficit on an annual basis. They were looking for a company to come in and help them turn that golf course around. They issued an RFP and they awarded to Paradigm, and their LLC is Paradigm Dobson Ranch. Agreement is essentially, it's not a lease agreement, so the city does not pay Paradigm per month for their services. It's a partnership agreement, and it's similar to the way City of Mesa's contract is laid out. Both of us are partnering together to make improvements and changes to the golf course so that all of us benefit for the mutual benefit of everyone and for the public. And so we can hopefully safeguard a lot of taxpayer dollars. So let me go into some of the details. So first of all, Paradigm will be responsible for the transition process. They will be starting September 6th, which is the day that the city gets the property. So they have agreed to start the same day that we get the property. They will be responsible for the selection and onboarding of employees, all the vendor agreements, any new accounts, and full operation and functions of the property. The city will be responsible for funding all property-wide capital improvements and repairs, just like we would at as any other operational account. The biggest capital improvement that is under discussion is the well. The well needs to be replaced. It probably has a replacement cost of about $600,000. In discussion with Paradigm, it's not crucial to replace it immediately, but they have it on their list as monitor so that we can monitor when the water level goes down, because the city currently purchases the extra water from Pueblo del Sol Water. Right now, the expenses of Pueblo del Sol Water are about $40,000 annually, so we're trying to balance when is the appropriate time or having the appropriate funds in order to get that well replaced. And there may be a solution as I move a little bit further down in my description. Paradigm will immediately begin purchasing the planning and installation of the InRange brand golf technology on the driving range. So that turns our driving range into an electronic golf video game, if you will, where anyone who wants to be on the driving range, there will be a computer monitor at each of the driving range stations, and they can hit the golf ball, and the golf travels electronically through the range. They have installed this at Dobson Ranch, and they had an immediate return on investment of $500,000. So the popularity of using these in-range technologies not only goes to golfers who are experienced, who just want to improve their golf game, but it also becomes a family fun center where we have picnic tables behind the range. The kids can order food, the parents can order drinks, and each kid gets a chance to go up and try to hit the ball. And fortunately, because the golf balls are tracked electronically, they can even play in the dark with low-level lights. So hopefully we expect to have a very big popularity with the in-range. So Paradigm will be buying the equipment as long as the city purchases the infrastructure to install it. So the city's obligation is to do the concrete, electrical, shade structure, and foundation work so that the in-range models can be installed. The existing inventory of the Pro Shop, the alcohol inventory, and the food and beverage inventory will be calculated on September 5th, which is the end of the Kessel & Cook contract. And the city will grant that inventory to Paradigm so that they can sell it under the Paradigm umbrella. The current value of the inventory shall be a credit toward the capital improvement purchase of the in-range infrastructure for the city. Paradigm will be responsible for funding any operational repairs and replacements up to 3% of gross operating revenue throughout the contract. Operational capital repairs are items defined as items under $10,000. For example, if they have to replace toilets, if they have to do some concrete repair, and it's under $10,000, Paradigm will just pay for those. Any items over $10,000, Paradigm will discuss with the city because we have to determine if it's a capital improvement or not. The benefit to the city in this contract is there's a revenue share. Paradigm will pay the city of Sierra Vista on an annual, I believe it's on a quarterly basis, 2% of the gross operating revenues of the golf course minus sales tax for the first 2 years. In years 3 and 4, they would raise that to 3%, and years thereafter, they would raise that to 4%. So right now, the gross revenues of the golf course is about $2.3 million, and that's gross. Of course, the operating expenses are $2.7 million, which is why it's a negative. So without any improvements, if we were in the same place we were a year from now, the city would get 2% of that $2.3 million, which is $46,000, and that money is laid aside for capital improvements to the golf course. So, for example, if we, once again, if we had $46,000 in the first year and Paradigm doubled their rounds in the next year, the city would get $80-something thousand, and we could all use that to add up to hopefully getting the well replaced before it fails. So that's our goal. And once again, there won't be any expenses from the city. Paradigm is responsible for funding any and all operating deficits throughout the duration of the agreement. So Chuck had mentioned this originally. They will cover the deficit. But I wanted to let you know right now, they proposed so many changes and improvements. We don't think there's going to be a $383,000 deficit in year one. We would be very surprised if after year one, they at least break even. They are aggressively being efficient, streamlining, doing improvements that they know will make sales so that that negative can be turned around to a positive. Paradigm will be responsible for funding the maintenance equipment lease payments. So right now, Castle and Cook leases their golf carts, their mowers, their utility vehicles. All of those are under 5-year leases of various expiration terms. Paradigm will pay all of those lease payments until the term expires. And then if it's required to lease a new piece of equipment, Paradigm will do that lease and make those payments. The city and Paradigm have agreed that the primary water well repair will not be done immediately, and the city has agreed to pay that extra water to the water company until the city decides whether we want to replace the well or continue paying the annual fee the monthly fee to Pueblo del Sol Water. All operational and capital expenditures that are executed by Paradigm shall be outside the city's procurement process. As you know, Paradigm is a business, and they want to be able to purchase items quickly and at their own cost. And to be honest, they can probably get better savings than the city can. So we're allowing them for any procurements they make to buy them as needed. Any capital improvement projects that we mentioned, for example, the in-range infrastructure, since the city will be paying that, will be done using regular city procurement policies. The city and Paradigm will communicate and coordinate the event space rental of the facility, and if the city requires any specific event space for a city-sponsored event, we will notify Paradigm within 30 days. Paradigm will be responsible for executing the startup and ongoing marketing and digital infrastructure. Paradigm has already set up a new website, new email addresses, social media pages with the name Sierra Vista Golf Center at Pueblo del Sol. So Laura Wilson, of course, is partnering with them to make sure we get as much social media blast and advertisement as possible. But Paradigm has a dedicated media department, so hopefully that will take some pressure off of our PIO and get those advertisements out so we can get lots of new golfers. Within the city will be responsible for the pool and the tennis assets. So right now, the pickleball courts are in disrepair and are unusable. I believe we got a quote of about $40,000 to rehab those pickleball courts. So that is on a long-term schedule that we don't know what we're going to do with. As the city has pickleball courts downtown, it's not considered a high priority, and it's not a priority for Paradigm because their focus is golf. So that will be set aside for a while. As for the pool, unfortunately, the city is going to have to close the pool as of September 6th on a temporary basis. As you know, we don't have enough lifeguards to even function the Cove pool downtown, which is the first priority. Ms. Wilson doesn't have any lifeguards that will be able to be present at the golf course facility. Once the property transfers to the city, state statute requires that a lifeguard be present at all times while that pool is open, and we just don't have the staff. So we will be closing that September 6th until further developments. Within the first 4 months, Paradigm will develop a youth golf program for Sierra Vista residents along with other identified groups. The programs will be free to the public and shall run continuously throughout the contract term. So Paradigm's emphasis is that the only way to continue to have good golf patronage is to make sure youths learn golf and want to play golf along with their family, friends, and parents. So they're offering a youth golf program for free in order to tap into those younger people as potential golfers in order that become future golfers as adults at the golf course. Paradigm will be responsible for providing monthly financial statements as required by our finance department, according to general accepted accounting principles. As for the fees, Paradigm will offer a 3-tiered cost approach. The most discounted rate will be those for Sierra Vista residents in the zip codes 85613-3536-5070 and 71. They call it the value-based pricing, which is less than the market rate. For Cochise County residents, the price will be a little bit higher, but not super high. It is still less than market rates, so that would be the second tier for Cochise County residents. For anyone outside the county, they will be charging market rate, what the market will bear. So they will be doing analysis of other competitors, seeing what the prices are, seeing what City of Tucson can handle and some of the other cities, and setting that rate per market. And finally, they will establish a special rate for golf groups, youth groups, veterans, and special events that will be provided and discussed with the city beforehand. The term of the contract is for 10 years with one 5-year option. The City of Mesa's contract is a 10-year with 2 5-year options, which is a total of 20 years. Since 5 years have already expired, the city can only max out at 15 years. So this contract is for 10 years with one 5-year option. At the end of all the optional periods, the city would either piggyback off City of Mesa's new bid or do our own bid to continue or do whatever with this contract with the same or new vendors. That's all I have. Any questions?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, no, no, I don't have any questions.
Questions? Yes, ma'am.
I feel like I have lots of questions. Well, are we gonna get a copy of? Unless I'm the only one that doesn't. No, nobody. All right. Yeah, we don't have it in front of us, so I'm trying to. Like, I was a little confused about the part of the monthly water fee or the fee that we have to pay to the water company until the well gets rebuilt. Okay, sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mayor McCaw, Mayor Pro Tem Humphrey. Basically, what occurs out there is there's 2 wells, and one probably needs to be re-drilled or improved because during the hotter months, starting in May, that well does not perform. So then Pueblo del Sol has to switch over to their water on the water company line, and then make purchases to offset the shortfalls from the well. So that's where the $40,000 a year comes in for that. So, of course, that's a lot of years, to pay operations and maintenance to make up for what'll probably be a $500,000 expenditure in the future on improving or putting in a new well out there. So, we could probably bear that, but that would be part of the operating costs associated with running the golf course.
Okay. Thank you. That clears up. And then I know so about 600,000 for a well, and then what was the? I don't know if you gave an amount for the, and I don't know how. I can't remember how you described it. The
in-range?
Infrastructure improvement. Yeah, in-range infrastructure.
The in-range cost for the infrastructure on the city side is about $250,000.
Okay.
250.
That was concrete shade structures, and what was the other one?
Concrete shade structure, electrical, and and other foundation work.
Okay, foundation work. Gotcha.
And Paradigm expects the revenue turnover to be $500,000 return on investment in the first year for that.
Okay.
And so, what happened with the pool? I thought they were interested in maintaining the pool, or using it as part of the.
Well, let me.
Yes, sir.
Mayor McCaw, Mayor Pro Tem Humphrey. I was going to address some of these other issues as we move forward. So you do have $1 million in that's budgeted in the Capital Improvements Fund for improvements at the facility. So obviously this has been moving very quickly. A lot of work has been done. Kenny and staff have been doing a great job, trying to get this done so we wouldn't incur any operating costs after September 6th. So that's all positive. That being said, there are a number of things that need to be done out there, especially on the non-golf side. of the house. You have the clubhouse itself, which needs to be updated to meet one of your strategic plan goals of having a conference center in the community. As you know, we're pretty sorely lacking that right now. So we have the opportunity there to do that. So we had an architect come out last week, and they're going to give us some design concepts. Obviously, we'll share that with you when we get that done. But that'll probably be the greatest expense will occur, at the golf course, is updating and upgrading that building and hopefully improving the restaurant and bar situation that occurs there. So Paradigm will be running that for us, which is good. And if they can turn that around, that should help them in terms of turning around the deficits that we're currently facing out there. The pool is another issue. Obviously, we run the Cove. We subsidize the Cove. Pools are difficult to make money at. But that being said, the pool is always busy, so people do use that pool. Obviously, when the city takes it over, then we have to incur even more expenses because we have to have lifeguards and those kind of things. Castle and Cooke does not have to do that. So people are out there at their risk, and I imagine they insure that. Now, Paradigm could not find a way to monetize the pool operation. I mean, I'm sure they could sell memberships and stuff. I don't know if that would overcome the cost of operating. But when they came out last week, they saw all these people there and are starting to rethink that. So normally the pool would close at the end of September anyway. We're going to have to close it at September 6th when we take it over. We're not proposing to do anything with the pool yet, so that'll still be under consideration for the following season. And we'll see if Paradigm does indeed want to keep the pool open or not. But it would be better if they ran it as a private company than if the city was running the pool. Second non-golf related, or third non-golf related facility are the tennis courts, which Kenny mentioned. They are in disrepair. I originally thought that maybe pickleball might be something that they could monetize out there. It doesn't appear that Paradigm thinks they can monetize pickleball out there. So there's quite a bit of land, flat land available there, and they've talked about putting in a putt-putt course and those kind of things. So that land could be useful, but it's probably best if we take that apart and demolish the tennis courts and leave the land for some future use that can be determined in the future. The other thing is public use, non-golf use of the golf course. As you know, there are many people in the neighborhood that use the golf course for walking early in the morning and in the evenings, and we still need to work out with Paradigm how that can still be accomplished. I believe there are ways to do that, but we're still working on that as well. So there's a number of issues to be ironed out. Plus, we need to, it's primarily in the Country Club, Winter Haven neighborhoods that are using that for walking. And we need to meet with those HOAs or those folks to kind of go over that with them. And we plan on doing that as well. So we've got a lot of things going on. Hopefully we'll start getting some cost estimates on the clubhouse, give you an idea of what that might cost going forward. It's in good shape, but obviously it needs to seat more to handle, larger events and conferences. The kitchen is not in a good place for that and is probably too small to handle a larger operation. So there's going to be some renovation that's going to need to be done there to meet the needs that the council, I think, would desire to see that. But we'll work with you and share that with you as we go.
Did they say anything about the parking lot?
Parking, I don't know if that's going to be an issue yet. It seems to me that it might be an issue. If they're successful, it will definitely be an issue. But again, that land where the tennis courts are could maybe serve to help with some parking situation as well. And certainly car parking is an issue as well. So anyway, those are a lot of the things that aren't quite settled yet, and we'll continue to work on them. But the main thing was to get Paradigm in and starting on September 6th, so we wouldn't incur the operating losses.
Other questions?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just jumping, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
The parking lot will have to be, because even with the capacity they're at now, when you have a large event, it's full. So if we do get to expand it into a conference center, it would definitely need to be addressed then too. I wasn't sure if you said 10 or 14-year contract with one 5-year option, and then I wrote both down for some reason.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Humphrey, and the council. It is one 10-year term with one 5-year extension.
Yep.
So it's 15 years total, not to exceed.
Don't know where I got 14. Thank you. And then, are we having to approve this agreement by a certain?
Mayor McCaw, Mayor Pro Tem Humphrey, I don't believe you need to approve the contract. You've already approved the sale, so.
The sale of the property.
We're sharing this with you to get your input before
Okay.
we finalize the contract.
Even though it's an agreement with a private company, we don't need to.
Now, that usually just falls under city procurement,
Oh, okay.
like other budgetary items would.
Oh, right. Okay. And then, so are we gonna get to see the whole contract before?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you. Sorry. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Just-
The normal pool, and it's going to close September like it normally does, but the months that it's normally open is, what months is the pool normally open?
I think it's from May, around the 1st of May to the end of September.
May to September?
Or early October.
Yeah, it's October.
Yeah, October, okay, Laura.
Okay. And then, under 3 tiers, you have the valley pricing, yes, service to residents, and then Cochise County residents, and then outside of that.
Yes.
And then you said there was youth, veteran, and something else? Was it city employees? Did you say that?
They're going to offer discount packages, discount rates for golf groups, for example, the Men's and Women's Golf Club. I think there's a Saga. There's a couple other golf associations. Any youth groups, I believe Ms. Wilson is also working with the school district for the Buena High School Golf, which I believe already practices there. Veterans and any special events
Okay.
for special event pricing.
Special event, okay. All right.
Got it.
Okay, so then just one more thing. So they're projecting, obviously, so the estimated cost for us to, well, I guess I'll back up there. We have $1 million that's not assigned to anything. It was our special project $1 million fund that we've never voted on as assigned it to anything. So it's there for our use, right? Now, with that said, the estimate, just for the in-range portion, which they estimate to make $500K back in the first year is what they're hoping. It's gonna cost $250K.
Yes.
Estimated, right? And then hopefully from that return, that comes from the 2%, 3%, 4% scale.
Yes. So right now, as I mentioned, the revenue, oh, yes, thank you, Councilmember Rodriguez and Council. Yes, right now, the overall gross revenue for Pueblo del Sol is $2.3 million. If, for example, they raise that to $3 million gross, the city would get 2% of that. So that takes us up to $60,000 we get to invest in our capital improvement account that's saved for golf course improvements.
Gotcha.
So the more improvements they make, the more percentage we get.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. And I believe that's all I had.
And the operational cost is at 2.7.
Yes. It's almost $4 million in the negative, 383,000, I believe.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm looking down.
Thank you so much for presenting this and breaking it down and explaining everything to us. It is a lot to kind of take in and to process. So I also will be look forward to having more information, having it complete, and having it in writing. I would definitely appreciate that. And based off of kind of what we've kind of went over in the past, the employees it'll be a smooth transition for them. And then with some of the improvements that they're planning to do right away, will there be an interruption in any of the golfers' games? Because I know there's people that play every single day, all the time. So I'm just kind of curious.
They'll
about that.
schedule it appropriately. They never want to have a no golf day. They have some now because they have to maintain the grounds, and some certain days of the week they just have to close it for the grounds maintenance. But they'll get that scheduled appropriately, so it's as much participation and use of the golf course as possible. Because as you can imagine, when the golf course is closed, they don't make money.
Right, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Mayor McCaw, Councilmember Landry, you raised a couple points there that you should be made aware of. They are planning to take over most of the employees that are out there already. So there are a few jobs they have identified that they will not be needing, and I believe those employees, that's between Paradigm and Castle and Cook and those employees right now. So the city is not involved in that, but they're following California personnel rules that Castle and Cook falls under. So I believe they've probably already been notified or are close to being notified of that. And I believe there are severance packages with those for those 2 or 3 employees that I think we're talking about. So you have that. And then the other issue, clearly, there's going to be a cultural change out at the golf course. Right now, there are memberships out there and people that pay for memberships that get preferred tee times and those kind of things. But there's not enough of them and then there's a loss. Since the city and the public are going to own it, now everybody is the same, right? So they can all, right now, there's not even a place to go online and get a tee time. So Paradigm has introduced Golf Now. It's going to be online, and everybody has that same opportunity to play in town or around that the members have. So, that could cause some cultural issues that we're going to have to deal with regards to the current members. But Castle and Cook is taking care of the membership situation prior to us taking it over.
What's that mean? They're taking care.
Well, there are people that have paid for memberships that are either going to get refunds or they may even have equity stakes in there that monetarily need to be settled.
Oh.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
A couple more questions. So it's good news about the website and stuff because their current website is not that great. So with the social medias and stuff, should people start following that now? When should they start tuning into the social media and stuff?
Laura.
Thank you, Councilmember Landry. They are working, they do have the site, kind of the bones and the structure up there. And we've talked to our folks in marketing and Adam Curtis and his group. So we will also have our own page, and we will point to that page so that anybody who visits the city's page will know right where to go to get information on the golf course. Since we're finalizing this agreement, we don't have anything signed yet, but we're hoping within the next few days, I think, to have that completed. You'll start seeing things like that go up, and if you'd like to be notified when it goes live, we can certainly let you know. I'm very excited about the possibilities with Paradigm. I think this is such a cool opportunity for the city, and it will be a real entertainment venue. And one thing that we've really spoken to them a lot about is our partnerships and the way that we want to make sure that everybody who's currently playing golf still feels like they have a home there, and we're very aligned in those values. They're going to be working with each of the golf groups that are used to golfing together. They will design group packages, and not only for the golf groups, anybody who wants to fill up a bunch of tee times are going to be able to reach out to them, bachelor parties, family reunions, things like that. If you have a large amount of golfers, they're going to want to talk to those folks too and work with them. And the most important also was to make sure that we continue our wonderful relationship with the Sierra Vista Unified School District, and that will continue to be the home of the Colts, and they will continue to pay no fees there.
Excellent. Go Colts. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Is there any, I didn't hear mention about that sign from 1985 out there on Highway 92. That doesn't even match. Like half is like an old sign, half a new sign.
That is
Is that somewhere in the works that we're gonna maybe put a banner up there at least for now that says, hey, yes, it's open, this is their new logo, all that stuff? Is that too far down the road, or is that mentioned at all?
You know, that's on the Kessel and Cook property that they're selling to other owners, so we're probably going to have to ask permission from the new owners who are buying tribute to even have access to that sign. So that's to be determined.
Okay. All right, great. Thanks again, Castle and Cook, for nothing.
Yeah.
All right.
I wonder if we would be violating our sign ordinance if we did that.
Yeah.
Jeff says yes.
All right. Cool.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
Anything else from guys?
Oh,
Marty, you have anything?
No, I'm good, thank you.
All right.
oh,
Yes, ma'am.
just one more thing about the pool, because you said they were thinking about maybe.
Well, now that they see how much usage is in there, they're trying to think of a way maybe that they would
Yeah.
still take over the operation
mean,
of it. So,
I hope so. Don't they sell packages for it now? Who's using it now? Do they pay
Yeah,
a
they do.
thing?
Social membership.
Okay, so maybe they can just,
It's supposed to be a pool and like tennis, but there's no tennis, so it's just pool.
okay. All right,
go ahead, Laura.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Pro Tem Humphrey, yes, they do, but it's largely on the honor system. Because you have the pool area and the tennis pickleball area, they're not consolidated within the management piece of, like, you know, you have the pro shop that can see who's on the tee boxes, and you have a starter that has people go out. There's really no oversight currently in its current layout to manage it well. And if we were to go on September 6th, I currently have 6 lifeguards at the Cove. And so there's just no way that I can pull from that. And we were hoping that we would be able to continue it. It's just not possible right away. This has all happened very quickly. But what I will say is Paradigm is very open to exploring possibilities of how to do something instead of how not to. And so they're not shying away from it. They just needed a little extra time to think about if there are some simple solutions that would allow them to manage it well. With our constraints. The fence line is also very low, so it's kind of open to people hopping the fence and things like that. It will have a lot more visibility once it becomes a city property, and it has a very low tolerance for the amount of people that can go in it. I think John Healy did the study on the people per square foot, and it came out to like 175, and I was like, oh wow, you know, you're rubbing elbows probably with your neighbors in there. But that's not a lot of capacity for a city pool either. So we're just looking at everything right now, and we just need a little more time.
thank you. Okay, sorry.
And just one more thing, Mayor McCon, members of the council, although we do have the set aside in the budget, I fear that that amount will not cover what I think the renovations to the clubhouse might end up being going forward. So obviously, none of this is probably going to occur this current fiscal year, so we'll be able to take a closer look as to how that can be financed going forward next year. So,
Thank you.
Excellent. Any more discussion? Let's move to item number Charlie C. Council Executive Report, sir.
Thank you, Mayor McCaw, members of the council. You know, in my message on the first page of the executive report, we mentioned a lot about the golf course, so we've already talked about that. A couple other things that have occurred in the budget. The appropriation for $25 million in the budget that we were seeking congressional approval towards the repair of Buffalo Soldier Trail. We got word, as you know, from Congressman Siscomani's office that number was reduced to $7 million, and then this morning received word that that language is not on the Senate side of the bill, so that will still have to be conferenced between the House and the Senate to get the $7 million. So we will be keeping our eye on that as well. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll make it through there. But with Congressman Siscomani on the Appropriations Committee, we have somebody going to bat for us there. The other project that was in the budget that we did not receive was the RAISE grant for North Garden and Fry, and that was on the order of 25 million as well. We did budget $4.5 million to proceed with the North Garden portion of the project. So we're hoping that will adequately cover that particular project as we move forward with bidding on that. So that's going on as well. Last meeting, I did mention to you the good news that we received a bequest of $1 million towards animal control, and I proposed using that towards the $2 million that you're spending this year for this year's expansion project. The reason for that was to help you with some flexibility on projects going forward. Now, since that time, I have received a few inquiries from council members with regards to the timing of this and the budgetary implications of that. Obviously, if we had received the bequest prior to you approving the tentative budget, I would have recommended using the money towards that project at that time. But you guys had already set the budget cap in the tentative budget, and then when I informed you Thursday, when I learned that we actually had the money in hand, that's when you were voting on the final budget. As I just mentioned, though, we are able to spend funds because we have to, by state law, budget fully for any potential grants that we may get. I just mentioned two of them that we're falling way short of. So the room is still in the budget to be able to use those dollars. But the reason for using the bequest for this particular project would be obviously to free up $1 million in capital improvement funds so that you could go forward and make a decision as to how that money could best be used. So we've identified a few potential projects. One would be this next phase of the animal control facility, and I've asked Bryce to take a look at what that might entail. So he's looking at that, and we'll try to get the costs for that to you. Obviously, we have other projects like Roadrunner Park, which had to be cut back during the budget process, and we're still waiting on grants for that later on this year. That may fall short of what we need. And of course, we have been discussing your strategic plan objectives on event and conference centers at the golf course as well. So those are just three off the top of my head. Plus, I also mentioned North Garden Avenue as well. So, but that is a decision I believe that the council should make, and I think you all should have those priorities. It's our job to give you the options and then let you know that. So that's why I made the proposal that I did and how that works in the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, comments for city manager on this comprehensive report? No.
Start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start, let me go ahead, let me just start with, first of all, I always enjoy having the executive report, and it's available for the public to access, so I definitely recommend that all members of the public access. If you go to the website, under, I think it's departments or under city manager, then there's a place where there has all the past executive reports in there, so definitely check that out. It'll probably answer a lot of questions anybody might have, because it covers all the departments, things that have happened, things that are happening now, things that are going to happen. So definitely check that out and share it with everybody that you know, so they can check it out too. But I did want to say congratulations to the retirement of Barry Midgorden. He was the graphic designer that served the city for over 25 years. So that's always exciting to see how so many people work with the city for so long. I think that's a really great sign that, they love the community, they love what they do. So hopefully he has great adventures in store for him in his retirement. And I also appreciate having those in the executive reports, things like that, and shout outs to different employees and stuff. I think that's really, really cool. And then, as was mentioned earlier about the toilets in the Garden Linear Park, I did have that because that was exciting to see. I don't want to say my comment again, but that's always good news for everybody that's going to be out there, and then especially that they're going to be ADA accessible. I think that's very important, so everybody's able to use them. And I also wanted to point out in the streets area for the street sweeping. I know that some people had made a comment to mayor and council in the past about the street sweeper or whatever. So one of the comments in here is that during the monsoon season, the street sweeper, they'll remove hundreds of pounds of debris in a single day because with all the rains and things moving around and things getting flooded. So, if we were not aware of that, hundreds of pounds of debris. And having the street sweepers out there regularly is very important to meet the federal stormwater compliance guidelines, and then it can also help kind of keep contaminants out of there as well. So if you see the street sweepers out there, they're working hard and keeping things clean and keeping things safer as well. Another comment I wanted to make is in the police department area, Mike Goodman is employee of the quarter. So I just wanted to give a shout out and congratulations to him. He led the department in most patrol-related performance dimensions. I'm not exactly entirely sure what all that entails, but I just wanted to give a shout out and congratulations to him for that. I think it's great to see that and see people being recognized for the city. And then I'll go back to the beginning of the executive report. I appreciate the explanation of different things, Mr. Patuchek, about the animal shelter and everything. And I just wasn't sure after right now if we're going to be able to make a decision on kind of what's going to happen with that. Because it does say that, it would take the place of the original donation and free up funds for other critical projects, which is, the main critical project right now, we kind of talked about is the golf course. So I was just kind of curious about if we are going to, as a council, kind of be able to decide what happens going forward.
Mayor McCaw, Councilmember Landry, absolutely. We need to gather a little bit more information on what the potential costs are going to be for the clubhouse. Obviously, we don't have all the costs yet for Roadrunner Park. We don't have the bids in for North Garden yet, and then obviously we're getting the costs for what would be the next phase of the animal control. So once we gather that information or get closer, we will bring that up in work session with the council, and then you have to, can make the priorities for us at that point. So,
just because our next council meeting this month is canceled.
It won't happen that quickly.
Yeah, okay. Okay, well, thank you.
Next in September. Work session in September. Yep. Any other questions?
Oh, just
yes, sir.
Again, I love this document. A lot of good information. The Borgstat traffic quiz. I've actually failed some of those, so I feel kind of bad. But it's pretty good to watch those. If you haven't, check them out. I love it.
That's right.
Yeah, whoever made him do that, keep making him do it because it's entertaining all around. If you haven't watched them, go watch them. They're really good because you might not know what you think you know about traffic laws. A lot of great events just throughout this whole document about things that happen annually, monthly. For the people that say there's nothing to do in Sierra Vista, read this document before you say that out of your mouth, please. There's a lot of stuff in here to do. And there's, obviously most of it falls under our Parks and Rec department, but a lot of stuff elsewhere that there's a lot of the things to do year round that are coming up as well. Public Works, thank you, Chuck. You clarified all the stuff about the grants. It's unfortunate to hear that last year they told us it was a project of merit, kind of gave us some false hope, and then nothing. So hats off to you guys who spent all that time on that, not for nothing, but to be let down. I'm sorry. So, and I respect that you're not going to pursue it again, because that's just too much staff time and to be told no again. So it's unfortunate we didn't get it. I can, obviously you can guess, because we're not the state of Maricopa a lot of times. We're way off the map, but hopefully people keep continuing to fight for us. That's why, and do their job like that. So that, people that we have elsewhere in the state and in DC to fight for us. You talked about the linear park restrooms. Thank you for covering that at length there, Ms. Landry. Thank you. Being talked about that. What else? I love all the stats in the back too. The fire department stats are great. Really explains a lot of things that are happening in all the different houses, broken down by that. I know we've kind of mentioned it before, but like the snake calls. Any transition yet? Animal control helping out with that between the chiefs with the snake calls. Like, is it still going to be for now just fire department sending our rigs out there, or?
Sure. Councilmember Rodriguez, Mayor McCaw. So during daytime hours and when the animal control is available, the reason why it transitioned over to fire department is after hours rather than calling an animal control officer on overtime. So as far as the volume of that, I'm not aware of how frequently it's being taxing to the fire department. I might need to let Chief Jones kind of speak to that.
Right.
But it's kind of a weighing whether we want to call out somebody who's at home off duty to handle it on overtime versus someone that's on duty.
Okay.
So that's really kind of the nexus there for this decision.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, Mayor McCaw, Councilman Rodriguez. The frequency of the snakes is obviously seasonal. And I think for the most part, my employees enjoy doing it because it's just something different. And it really just keeps the police department is much too busy to do that. And it allows our folks out there to get to mingle with the community and to help with the critters.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chiefs. Also looking forward to the Sentinel publication that the PD's going to put out annually, right?
Yes,
year?
that's correct.
All right, great. I have to read this because I want to see what's all in there. So look for the Sentinel coming from your Sierra Vista Police Department.
Yeah, so actually, it's pretty good reading.
I got to check it out.
Yeah, got a copy. So great job, Chief. Annual report from the police department. Looking forward to hitting the streets with them and passing it out.
Yeah. Thank you for that and for the transparency of that for your department. Appreciate that.
Any others from the guys? Well, great document, executive report. A lot of good information. Uptick on fire calls. Do y'all plan to hit over 10,000, 12,000 this year?
Mayor McCaw, members of council, I don't think we'll hit 12,000, but we did have a record month last month, over 950 calls, and the month before was 880, which was a record as well. And the troops just seem to be handling the calls as they come in and working very professionally to serve our community the way they should be.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for all you do. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mayor McCaw, members of the council, we have a couple areas like the fire calls that continue to seem to increase, month over month and year over year. We're also seeing that in transit, and we need to do a little deeper dive into what may be causing, those numbers. So we need to take a look at those numbers. Is it the demographic of the community? Because the community, our population growth rate really isn't keeping up with the growth rate and the calls for service that we're receiving. So it probably would help us to know a little bit more about what's driving that. Same goes with transit. So we can maybe address those by altering how we provide the service going forward. So I'm going to ask the chiefs to take a look at those numbers. So.
Yes, sir.
Can we include in that research when it comes to any of those departments, like staffing-wise versus what we're doing now, more with less? I would almost assume it's always going to be we're doing more with less, but just to see those metrics, I think is important when it comes to just all-around stats.
Yeah, I guess we could say we're being more productive, but what's the price that we're paying to do that? So,
thank you.
Excellent. All right, moving on. Item number D, reports on the recent trips, meetings, and future meetings. Yes, ma'am.
Tomorrow, up in the conference area up here, there will be the Transportation Commission at 3:30. Everybody's welcome to attend. I recommend you. It's going to be a really great agenda. I don't want to tell you what it is because you have to come and see. But tomorrow, 3:30, in the conference area, Transportation Commission.
Tease us a little. Yeah. It's posted.
We have our league conference later this month.
Yes. Yes. Going to the league. Any others?
We had our youth commission meeting Sunday morning. It was our virtual meeting. So starting the school year back up, getting the kids more involved again. You know, like, as you know, we had our seniors that left. Now we have more applicants that applied. So we're still moving forward with that. And I still want to sit down and have the conversation of what the future of that looks like. I know staff's been working on that stuff. And I know assistant city manager is also working on that. We've talked about that before. What's the future of that look like? So still want to have that conversation moving forward. Obviously, we have a lot of things, a lot of interest, a lot of projects they want to work on. So definitely want to still keep moving that forward.
Okay, future discussion items and council requests, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor McCaw. I'm tracking 2 items for you in September. First, the pavement condition index survey was completed earlier this year, and Sharon's been reviewing the results, and we'll be ready to present those to you in September. And then our municipal court assessment, as was mentioned earlier, will wrap up this month, and we should be able to present the results to you in September as well.
Excellent. Questions? Anything else? Well, with that, we are adjourned.